Twitch. Hope you guys are doing well. Check out these ones. These are Bibilla gloves again, or Bibilla sleeves. I cut these a bit better this time. I got a lot more control, as you can see on fucking some part of it. It's barely there. I only cut like a tiny cut this time instead of doing a big rip on them. So they're feeling a lot better. I also took the nail polish off because my nails keep begging me for a break. So we're just on regular pink nails for a normal human being. Okay, now let's vie with politics for today, because I'm just reviewing all the liberal politics in my head, because I just feel like doing a real political board with liberal politics time to playlist. And now we're going to do the lamest topic, to me at least, which I know is still controversial to America somehow: social etiquette. Now, first of all, we're going to vie with my real social etiquette system, which we call street noble. Street noble was really inspired by fiction, where people are basically British noblemen with chivalry and stuff. But we basically have a modern social language, like our modern English with slang and shit, without fucking being like, "A sooth, how art thou today?" We just say stuff with modern words while being polite, really. With basically, first of all, we will vibe with physicality, because that's like the most important. Physicality just means you don't touch people without permission, basically ever. The only possible exception is with someone you're romantically involved with, and that's like just because part of romance, at least to me, is that it's like love and hate with this topic, where I admit sometimes romance can get a tiny bit like close to like being like abusive on a touching scale, because a lot of ideal romance in movies and stuff is just sliding up to your fiance or whatever, just like getting behind them with a hug from behind, and sometimes you will get rejected in those positions when they don't feel like being touched, which will annoy people always. But I'm bored to admit, when it comes to romance, I still really like just being able to walk up to someone and just try doing something like holding their hand or kissing them or something without like prompting them, because like it gets really cringe to do this typical scenario of like we try to be too polite and be like, "My girlfriend, may I please kiss you?" It's like really cringe. Romance just admits we're more supposed to just like try to make the kiss happen by leaning in and hoping she doesn't like push us away with their hand. Yeah. So other than romantic situations, you're always supposed to have consent, especially when it comes to like literally anything sexual. Sex should always have some consent to it. You shouldn't just walk up to people and try to put your penis in them or something, even if they're wearing a skirt. I don't care. Like, there's like, you can't just walk up to people, even if they're just walking around in a bikini and stuff, and try to stick your dick in them. You have to at least seduce them. At least try seducing them first before you stick the wiener in. Maybe give them a kiss first before you try to stick the wiener in. If you at least land a few kisses before you try, it's like I won't judge you as hard. I mean landing kisses without getting punched, like they willingly welcome the kisses. Like, I'll probably at least let you try without judging you. We'll see if your girlfriend still lets you. But still, it's like, at least like, if you at least try to seduce them beforehand with like real romance, and not just like try to put pills in them and date rape them, it's like, I don't know, you were still based even if you got rejected to me, bro. Anyway, so with physicality out of the way, with like don't touch people without permission, there's like other stuff with social etiquette, which really, for normal social etiquette between people, we are supposed to be like basically normal levels of casual. Like we're supposed to mainly be very positive. Like we're supposed to try to stay at least a bit positive, not too positive, because it's like this is kind of hard to me, because like I've had friends and stuff where like we basically did roast sessions on each other where we insult each other a lot, and like I don't know, I don't want to take away insult privileges too hard, but I'm not gonna lie, it gets annoying when you go too far. Like basically, when do I say insults get too hard? I guess when people start crying, or when you just don't stop for hours on end, or not even hours, like fucking roast. It's like insults can get really toxic really quickly. It's like the pure real social etiquette admits I shouldn't let you insult people unless they're like behaving so badly. You basically have to do a roast session to correct their mannerisms and make them be like a human being and not a fucking uncivilized ape that doesn't wipe their ass. But I don't know, some of it's just like you're supposed to be able to at least insult your friends a bit lightly. for the sake of camaraderie, just like to give them a little barb. Like, not such an epic barb. It feels like you're stabbing them with words, but like, oh, you're supposed to be able to pinprick them with insults a bit. It's just a question of when does the pinprick become a stab. And that's really person to person on that. I would vibe with trying not to make people cry. And I don't know, the best, I don't even want to regulate insults too hard because it's like person to person really how many insults they can take. It gets too aggressive eventually. We all know it if you start doing a roast session impromptu. The only consensual situation is when you're like all in a mutual roast session against each other because you're all bored, or it's like Comedy Central's roast to Kevin Hart or something. Otherwise, it's like you're not supposed to do a roast session really. Everyone gets offended unless they willingly walk into the room for that roast session. And you can roast them back. Let's see. And then from there with, let's see, the social etiquette of friendship just admits you're not supposed to expect too much from your friends. Your friends are very useful for socializing, yes, but you're not supposed to be like, part of the social contract with friends is that I'm supposed to be able to get money from them, or put my penis in their mouth, or my penis in their mom's mouth. It's like, no, you got bare minimum with friends, you get to socialize with them, and that's it. Everything's on permission basically with friends, even getting their phone number to text them outside of work or something, or your school. Which I know is annoying to some people, but it is what it is. You can't just like, I mean, you kind of can at least send a friend request to them, but they have to accept it. You can't force yourself into their DMs by hacking them or something. That's wrong. All right. What else? Social etiquette goes on for a while. Like, I hate doing this to society, but we've abandoned kindness before in America. We had real debates over abandoning kindness, so I have to do this social etiquette lecture. I know it sucks. I know some of us have read books and know how to be a person that's polite, but like fucking, some people really want to avoid being polite. I have to fucking talk about this. Alright, what else? All the things you can expect from friends are basically the bare minimum of like basically nothing. They're allowed to leave you even when they're bored of you, even if just bare minimum boredom, let alone you like traumatize them by calling them the N-word every time you see them straight face or something like that, where you just do a roast session because you're still like annoyed with them every time. Like, everything's on a consensual basis with every relationship ever, even your family. Though I don't know, like, family gets a bit iffy. We'll focus on family later, where there's like obligations to your family members, which isn't really a real social contract. It's just what we peer pressure people into doing because we don't like when people abandon their family. When it comes to friendship, though, everything has to be very consensual. You can't like force people to hang out with you ever. No forcing anyone to hang out with you. You can't force people to copy your morals, your mannerisms, or whatever. They're allowed to be an individual, even if they're like a fucking dumb Republican that fucking has terrible beliefs. Like, I don't know, I should not abort anyone, even when it's a rape or incest, baby. Like, you can't be a good friend and punch your friend in the mouth over that issue. Like, you're a bad person. Especially when on the political etiquette admits, at least, we're supposed to debate almost every issue. There's very few exceptions to that, and most of the time we should just shut you down and avoid punching you in the mouth to an extent, unless you're like being really stubborn about something like trying to debate rape being legal. Like, if you don't drop the subject, I will say we're allowed to punch you in the mouth if you just don't drop the rape issue, except we're not debating that. Rape is illegal, deal with it. Anyway, but when it comes to most issues which are civilized, and not something so dumb, which I just basically think he wants to legalize rape, punch him in the mouth. Like, let's go with the normal issue, taxes, or, I don't know, immigration. Immigration's a bit complicated, but immigration's still a straightly fair forward issue where, like, I know there's some emotions. We should all be able to debate things like immigration. We're supposed to be able to debate stuff like immigration, trans rights, basically any issue that's like something that's not fucking heinous. Like, let's go at a new example, denying the Holocaust. Don't deny the Holocaust. You deserve punched in the mouth for that. But anyway, like, if it's a normal issue where I don't feel like you're like an evil dickhead, I will gladly let you debate it. The only question is if you can force debate on anyone. The answer is no. Real political etiquette admits the bare minimum is to, like, just, to be a politician, you should just post your views on YouTube. Literally, YouTube and Twitch. live stream your views like I am now, and then post your video on YouTube. That's the bare minimum for politics. You can also buy an ad if you want to try and make your vision go a bit hard. But you're supposed to be polite with politics, because on politics, when it comes to ruling the world, it's supposed to be voluntary. It's like, there's like a real system for why you shouldn't try to be a dictator with politics, because you have to stay in the room with you or your guards to fucking force the laws all day when they're controversial and people don't want them to be real. But that's why we have to convince people with arguments to fucking like get a political issue to get a win. Because otherwise it's just like, at best, copper, you have to be in the room to stop me from eating my cheeseburger, you fucking vegan bitch. Literally, they would have to literally work around you in a dystopian way where it's like, for example, the cops take all the meat off the shelves so that the vegan overlord that will never be can have his vegan world. It has to it would be more likely that they could force it out by fucking getting rid of all meat in stores and just hoping no one goes hunting. Because even though we have enough hunters in America with guns and shit, where hunting will still enable meat. Eventually we'll just have a fucking illegal meat market, a fucking similar to we had an illegal alcohol market once, which will happen if we legalize meat. I would bet money on we'd become an illegal moonshine world, but for an illegal meat world instead, where we just have meat runners running meat around, because most people would just be like, there's no moral issue with me eating this, ever. It's good meat. I like the meat. Even though vegans will be like, it's animal cruelty. We're so cruel. We're raising animals on farms just to die. Which is pretty messed up, I'm not gonna lie. On a moralist viewpoint, if we decide to treat animals anything more than instinctive dumbasses that have no sentience, it's just we're actually pretty douchey, I'm not gonna lie. It's pretty douchey. Which is why they are still allowed to debate us on that, because literally the meat market, when we vibe how we get the meat, is very satanic level, especially when we vibe with the chicken nugget and how they throw baby chickens in the shredders to make chicken nuggets. Very sad. Very much worth getting roasted over. Can't deny it. We are Satanists for chicken nuggets especially. Alright, let's see. Anyway, what else was on social etiquette for politics? Anyway, as I said, the bottom line for why you want to be convincing with politics instead of trying to create a dystopia is that it becomes a microcosm at best of when you have to have a cop in the room or yourself enforcing the laws, because the second the cops and people aren't around, they will just go back to doing stuff like smoking weed when they're not in the room. We all know it from drug addict memes that fucking the second the cops are in the room, they will do drugs when they feel safe enough to do drugs. There's no question of it. That's why you have to convince people with arguments not to do that drug or whatever, or else people are just going to ignore you because it's a microcosm. You have to be in the room to stop people from doing drugs. Literally. That's why you have to win arguments to stop people from doing drugs. Literally. Because otherwise, no one's going to listen to you on a law unless you beat their argument if they're anarchists. They have to be complete pussies to where they wouldn't even do stuff when there's no one around like there is right now. There's no cops, at least. I'm in public. Someone can punch me in the mouth if they're bored, because we are in the people's court still. Which, as I say, the people's court is literally just we enforce things by roasting you on Twitter and punching you in the mouth. And at least trying to make the cops be real and send you to jail. Yeah, but so when the cops aren't real, we just punch you in the mouth and lecture you and hope you listen to us. Which even then, the other side of the people's court, which again will vibe with drug addicts, will just at best smoke inside their house and try not to smoke outside. They get caught by people that hate drug addicts, so they don't get punched in the mouth. Yeah. Anyway, and vibing with politics on etiquette, I recommend being polite to an extent. I do sometimes like when you use real emotions, just because you feel real. Just try not to be too much of a crybaby or too angry, because you'll become unintelligible eventually, or you just look really cringe. But real emotions do work to an extent with politics, because they make you seem passionate to me, even though it can get really annoying. I personally, when it comes to things like the news, I kind of like apathy and just roasting people. Roast sessions about politics that you're wrong about is funny. Especially when I do stuff with a cigarette, where I'm in Star Wars, they call the cigarettes death sticks because they kill you, right? We just roast them with stuff like that. You're supposed to literally, you can do roast sessions to win politics. I'm not going to lie, especially when you just roast them on Twitter and just for being dumb about, I don't know, what's an issue other than, The Iran War. War's always dumb because you have to go kill people for that. It's like you can just call them serial killers all day over that. That's a good argument. You just like roast them for being serial killers. Fucking, that's a good guilt trip. Can't even deny that'll work. Let's see. Political etiquette should always be polite to an extent, though, because, well, if we vibe with redemption, or option B, like basic redemption, where you want that person that you're annoyed with to go back into the workforce and do their job, especially if there's someone used with a degree like a mechanic or something. If it's you shouldn't ban people so hard over something that's like redeemable. Like I believe in redemption enough to where like we should always just try and move on to an extent about every issue. And that's like at least enough to where we don't do a death penalty. If it's not death penalty worthy, we move on and we just let them get a job again someday and stuff. If it's death penalty worthy, we should just kill them if you're that mad and you don't want them to ever have a job again. Because they're going to starve if they don't ever have a job again. So just kill them off. I'm not even going to meme about it. Literally, just do the death penalty if you think they don't deserve a job anymore. That's just starvation. You're just prolonging their death unless they get called by someone's rich uncle or something. Let's see. What else do we need to do etiquette on? Let's vibe with the real etiquette system where this is where a lot of my etiquette examples now pop up from, for good or ill, which is being a businessman such as a waiter or a cashier or something. We'll vibe with having to interact with customers because to an extent, customer interactions between you and a businessman adheres to an extent. The rules for those situations branch out to everything when you don't want to argue with people. It works even with family members and friends because basically you being a good waiter is a good kind of personality rule set to a major extent, if not almost entirely, to not offend people, keep your job, and keep your friends and family a lot longer than you would if you were like an in-your-face politician, always screams at people, punches them in the mouth, and restricts their rights on stuff like a song they like because I don't know, you don't like that musician's politics or something. It's better to be polite, to keep people around, even if they're doing something a bit controversial. As long as that thing isn't so controversial, you're like, that's a death penalty crime. Yeah. So anyway, first of all, businessman etiquette, we're going to vibe with going between customer. We're going to go customer first. Customer's a lot faster. Customer, you just walk up to your cashier or whoever you're buying from and be polite. And most of the time, you don't even have to talk. Being a customer is very easy. You're allowed to be antisocial and say the bare minimum, if nothing at all. I recommend just doing the bare minimum. If they try to do small talk, be like, how's it going? Just say, I'm doing all right. Just end it there. Don't say how you're doing as well. Because not going to lie, if you do even the bare minimum saying, like, how are you doing back, as a polite person would if they want to have a conversation, the conversation keeps going. So this is being politely antisocial first. Polite antisocialness means you are allowed to shut down the conversation. I recommend doing it politely by doing the gray rock defense, where you're just boring as shit. And avoid continuing the conversation as much as possible and not giving any prompts. Even the bare minimum being like, I'm doing good, how about you, sir? Do not say how are you doing, sir? Just say I'm doing all right and shut up. Just hope they don't talk again. You are even sometimes allowed to do silence if you just are uncomfortable with it genuinely, or no, even ungenuinely. Just like, you might have to be a bit stubborn and honest and just admit you don't want to talk because they're a fucking cashier. Just admit you don't want to socialize with them. That is respectful. I can respect that. You're supposed to be able to not force conversation on people at a job. Literally, you're supposed to. Anyway, with that, also another thing you're trying to be polite but a bit social is don't hold up the line. If there's no one behind you, you're actually welcome to have a bit of a conversation if the cashier likes you and they want to have a conversation. But there's people behind you, even one person, you just talk for the bare minimum how long your purchase goes, including when they're loading your stuff into the bags and stuff or whatever. And then once you finish paying, you just leave. You say your goodbyes and leave. Don't try and have a 5-minute conversation and hang around while the next person's doing their purchase. That's rude. That's rude. Leave. Leave at that point. Or just or if you're at a restaurant, you have to leave entirely. Just go sit at your table and eat your food. Don't try to keep talking to them. Especially if they're a worker on the clock, just you get a bare minimum conversation, but if they're working, they have to get back to work, literally. Even if they're the cashier, you're supposed to talk to people all day. They're supposed to be working. They can at least clean their area and stuff a bit soft and hard when they're fucking not talking to people. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie, if you really want to talk to your friend, just text them. They will eventually text you back in a spare minute at work if they're remotely social. I do it a lot. Literally, if you want to have talks with your friends, just text them. They will eventually text you back when they're not busy. If they really like socializing, that's a fact. We always eventually have a few minutes at a job like this, even if we just do the bare minimum, run to a bathroom in order to send a text. I'm not gonna lie, in that situation, if you can't text in your regular spots at jobs, which I never really follow the rule too hard. But if you get in enough trouble where you have to hide in the bathroom and send a text, just accept your friends not texting you at work. Because a lot of jobs don't like people texting at work. It distracts people. Even though some jobs that don't matter as much, such as this McDonald's, because they have to wait for an order to come in to get work. They can't pre-cook food because then it's not fresh food, and then people can roast them online for not having fresh food, even though they keep bragging about having fresh food. Yeah. Anyway, let me think. After that social etiquette bit, is there anything else I need to review as a customer? That's about it. I reviewed that. Now we review Businessman Vibe. Businessman Vibe is, first of all, we vibe at Burger King is that the customer is always right, but to an extent. At least when, depending on where you're at, the customer can make requests for their food and stuff, which you're supposed to listen to their requests every time, as long as you guys have the ingredients. Do not be rude and censor people because it's like against your religion to eat a tomato or something. Literally, I'm not gonna lie. If you like social etiquette of businessmen, admit that you're supposed to supply your customers with whatever food's on the menu. The only people that are supposed to be able to censor stuff enough to where something like a religious freedom argument can happen, where like I'm not supposed to serve that because it's against my religion, is the business owner, and they should just censor that by not offering it on their menu to begin with. If it's offered on the menu, you as an employee are supposed to sell that item every time. If you don't like that, you need to go to a business that's kosher. You can't fucking work at like fucking Pizza Hut if you're mad about the tomato sauce not being kosher because you're like, fuck, you need kosher sauces everywhere. Sucks to suck, bro. Capitalism isn't always kosher. In fact, most restaurants aren't kosher. They serve the weird shit we Americans love, which isn't kosher. Like, I don't know, fucking almost anything. I could fucking say a chicken bone with a chicken leg with seasoning on it isn't kosher because there's like fucking a weird sea salt on it that isn't their special kosher salt, which is like, not gonna lie, if I remember right, the only salt that's kosher is literally salt that's like big crystals that are like this big or something. Like literally, it's like, it's supposed to be like big chunks of salt that you break into pieces to salt your food. That's what kosher salt is. Real table salt you get on regular tables all the time is not kosher. And literally, as an employee, your social etiquette is simple. You sell whatever your boss says you're selling. If you don't like it on some political level for some reason or some religious reason, you should just leave that business. And I don't know, if you're bored, you can go do politics online to argue against their food and stuff. Otherwise, you sell their food. You sell their food, you sell their products, even if you have like problems with it, as long as you work there, because that's what a good businessman does. Good businessman would at worst be a politician and try to argue with on the internet or maybe their boss in person about why the product sucks. You're not supposed to just do blocking them as the cashier because that's not even legal. Especially when people around you will get bored and will just sell it around you unless you do a microcosm of dictator abuse where you beat people up around you, stop them from selling the cheeseburger with rice on it or something. Unless you abuse the people around you, just as with politics, you can't force people to not sell a product. Literally, you would have to abuse them or pass laws that would let people take it off shelves. Otherwise, they're allowed to sell it if it's legal. At best, you can try to control it when it's legal to sell it by beating people up and trying to steal it. But otherwise, it's you can only create a microcosm of despair there. On a macrocosm, you can't control a restaurant in another state or another town even unless you travel to that town's restaurant and take their stuff for that restaurant all day. From every restaurant. You would have to be a macrocosm of traveling everywhere to take away the weird burgers and shit. Or else you just can't win eventually. You will just get bored eventually if you're remotely smart and want to do things like watch YouTube. Because otherwise you will be obsessed with traveling into every restaurant to make sure they sell kosher dill pickles or something. Alright. So, for a social etiquette of handling customer, your mannerisms are really supposed to be very simple. For addressing people, you always say sir or ma'am. You can There's for women. There's also there's madam, but most of the time you should just say ma'am. That's the most common one. You say ma'am for women, and sir for men, and then that's how you address them for the most part. If you happen to get someone fancy you recognize, like in America, the governor or president, you can say the rank too, like Mr. President Trump. How would you like to have your McDonald's today? But if you know the rank, like in my street noble etiquette set, we do not require you memorizing every single politician's or important celebrity's ranks that you can address them properly every time. That's why we say sir or ma'am. You respectfully get by doing the bare minimum, saying sir and ma'am without having to recognize every fucking person's rank in America. That would be annoying, especially if you want to be a normal civilian, not pay attention to politics all day like fuckboy Machiavelli here. Anyway. Let's see, what else? After that, of course, I will remind you again not to touch your customer. Don't touch your customer. Try to avoid touching them, especially because after COVID-19, we had germaphobe moments. And I know it doesn't really matter here at a restaurant when you handle their food, but like still, it's like don't fucking touch them inappropriately or at all. Minimal contact between people because it's like inappropriate. Just admit it. It's inappropriate to touch people. Even just a touch on the hand's annoying. Anyway, what else? Always be polite. Always be polite when you serve customers, and do not bring up politics. When it comes to conversation topics that when you're at work, especially at a business like a restaurant, do not discuss politics at all. Try to keep things conversationally light. Like, let's go with PG-13 tops. With no politics. You don't want to discuss politics at work mainly because things can get controversial and annoying because you can piss people off. Let's go with the most common reason to piss someone off. Drug addict politics. Someone wants to discuss weed politics. They get fucking annoyed because stoners in a room want to be able to smoke weed legally. People don't want you to smoke weed legally. It becomes a drug addict debate between good Christian kids and drug addicts. It's like fucking annoying. You'll alienate the workplace for a few hours. Drug addicts will get roasted. Christians will be told they're fucking prudes and stooges or whatever. It's fucking annoying. Just don't bring up politics at work as much as possible, because you guys will just end up in arguments all day. Literally, always be polite. Do not bring up politics at work. Anything else I need to do? Social etiquette dictates I must tell you about the stupid things you're not supposed to do, and I know most people are smart enough not to do this. Do not try to sell your own special products off to the side when you're in a restaurant. Like, don't fucking bring in special ingredients that you made to fucking make a unique burger. That's like a secret menu item. That will annoy people, especially if it's not even a burger that the company's taking a cut of. So it could be like a unique custom burger they're selling for a limited time. It was just you in the back, like fucking selling a special cheeseburger, and then trying to take the full price, even though they're like the company supplies the meat and cheese, and you just put on your special sauce and like a kosher dill pickle. It's like you're a dick. You're cutting me out of my own business, especially when I supply the meat patty. Which, let's be real, is the most delicious part of the burger, especially if I do the meat patty, the bread, and the cheese. That's already like the best parts of the burger. You're just providing a special sauce. And it's like annoying, especially when the company doesn't get cut. Literally, you're supposed to like, it's supposed to be so real, you only get to make purchases through the cash register. Don't make fucking hidden purchases from a special employee out to the side like a hidden NPC store in a video game at a McDonald's. That's annoying. You're basically like a fake drug addict, a fake drug dealer, but with food. You've got special food deals that annoys everyone because it's not supposed to be offered at the restaurant. Premium products that aren't supposed to be offered at the restaurant annoy everyone because you're trying to make a product happen that isn't real, at least to my business. That annoys me because then people are going to start asking questions like, where's the special orange French sauce burger? It's like, I don't fucking sell that for real. You're all fucking dumb. That was fake shit. Someone was lying about that being official. Then it annoys me because then there was a phase at a restaurant where there was a special burger that was like awesome. Everyone loved it, but I can't sell it for like two reasons. One, I didn't know it was on my menu because dumb fuck was selling it out to the side without giving me a cut. And two, unless dumb fuck is nice, decides to give me the recipe and to sell for the whole business, he ends up just keeping a recipe to himself. It's only for him and his favorite customers and stuff. which ends up being annoying because I'm freaking, and he's making money off of my food to an extent if he takes my burgers, cheese, and bread for the burgers, and just makes a bit of a premium with his own special ingredients, which then just becomes like competitive business inside my own store. And it gets annoying because he doesn't want to share the recipe. It's an unofficial product of my brand that some dickhead owns instead of myself, the brand owner or something. In a hypothetical situation, I'm not an actual brand owner. I'm just saying what I would do as a businessman on this, which is that it's annoying to have products that aren't mine being sold at my restaurant. It's annoying, especially if I don't get a cut of it. What else? What else etiquette is I'm supposed to do? Don't abuse each other. Don't have sex in the workplace. That gets annoying. That just creates toxic masculinity for everyone because fucking, I don't know, a slut girl could be liked by everyone, and then someone fucks her at work. Then I don't know, she like digs people down that was crushing on her because she got a boyfriend to fuck at work. Then all the boys get mad because then their favorite slut girl can't get fucked by them because she's starting to act like she's married. Then toxic masculinity just escalates from there because then everyone gets mad they can't fuck the hot bitch at work. And I don't know, dude talks shit because he's like, y'all getting cucked. Y'all can't put your dick in their pussy like I can. They're like talking. It becomes like a big war, cucks and bulls in like an hour. They're all like trying to dig each other down and get fired or get someone fired or like trying to prove that the current boyfriend sucks to the girl because then shit talking sessions happen off to the side of being like, yo, bro sucks. He don't even always remember to put cheese on the burger. And just dick down sessions like that happen all day to prove to the girl that her boyfriend sucks. Yeah. Yeah, is anything else for social etiquette I need to explain? I'm thinking. Really, when it comes to social etiquette of a business between employees or the managers, you should avoid dating. Because basically, it's really just avoiding social consequences of what if you guys break up and then still have to keep working together. It gets awkward. Especially if there's a forlorn lover boy like me, once in a while try to get back with his girlfriend because he's bored and misses her. Because he just sees her around the business being hot. And he's lonely. So it just creates a situation of that lover boy is going to try to suck your toes again once in a while. Whenever you guys work together long enough in the same room. It's just basic flirting and compliments. It gets annoying. Especially if it's a normal situation for me. It's like, I have a husband. Quit trying to suck my toes. I have a husband. And stuff like that. Let's see. Anything else I need to mention for social etiquette? Obviously, don't hit each other. That's pretty obvious. Don't hit each other. Don't abuse each other. Don't try to restrict each other on how you can get trained. That's especially important because basically if we restrict people on how they can get trained, it becomes a problem because then they can't get promoted to a new role. Number two, they can't take over your work. Seriously, it gets boring to admit. What if you have a task you don't like? Like, let's say what's the most ideal one that everyone hates for this restaurant? Cleaning the toilets. But there's like a special cleaning product you have to explain to them to fucking figure out how to clean the toilet right to get rid of all the germs. If you don't explain to them how the cleaning product works, you can't get anyone else to clean the fucking toilet, which means you're stuck cleaning the toilet yourself unless you train them how to clean the fucking toilet with that special cleaning chemical. Clearly, it's just stuff like that. But with in more common cases, it's like they have to learn to fix the machine a special way. If you're not willing to train them how to fix the machine in that specific way, you have to do the fix every time, but everyone else has already learned it, and they get out of work because they're not supposed to learn how to do that job. If they're not supposed to learn how to do that job, they are never obligated to do that job. Which means that the things that you don't train them for, they are obligated to ignore and at best just walk up to you and say, I need you to fix something because you're the one who knows how to fix it and you don't train me to fix it. Which means you're stuck as the repairman for things because you don't want to train anyone to do that job. You end up stuck being the repairman for that job and all the other jobs you don't want to train people for every time to where, well, in some ways it's good to an evil businessman because you can end up having priority to be the main worker for fixing things where you get a lot of work. But the problem is you will eventually get bored and be like, why doesn't anyone else do the work? It's like, oh yeah, I dicked everyone down and didn't want to train anyone, so now I'm stuck doing all the fucking work. And if you ever want to make sure other people do your job sometimes, you can have like a day off once in a while. You need to at least train some other people to do your jobs, or else you fucking end up having to work 7 days a week, or just hoping machines don't break so you can have a day off and not have to come in for like 2 hours to fix the machine and leave. So bottom line, always be willing to train people for things, or else that becomes a job you have to hog for yourself and never share. Which an evil businessman likes to an extent. I can't deny it. That means you stay precious to your company for being the only person that can do it. But the problem is again, that you're the only person that does that fix or whatever, which means you are stuck as that worker, literally. Which means you get some priority. The problem is you have too much priority, and they can't ask anyone else to do your work because you won't teach them. All right. Anything else? Social etiquette. Is there anything else I need to teach for social etiquette? One obvious one is that you shouldn't do like things like blackmail, where you try to blackmail people and talk shit to ruin friendships with everyone, just to dick them down so they can get fired or something. That's just charisma warfare. We all just dick each other down with roast sessions about work ethic or having bad morals. Like, for example, Republicans would be told about my liberal politics to tell me that I'm a bad person to them. A liberal manager would be told about someone's Republican politics to be told that they're bad. Then it becomes political warfare in most common situations to like make it all libtard place or all republic-tard place, where you're all just one political ideology. Some people would think is neat, but the problem is that just like, I don't know, you just end up political warfare at your job for a while to keep out the liberals or Republicans and stay at whatever flag you want. It ends up annoying, especially when you have to do, if you want to maintain that, you have to do regular political outings and just regularly walk up to people and talk politics, which will be annoying every time anyone has a slight disagreement, because then you have to fire someone, maybe even in the middle of the shift, which just gets annoying, because then you're down a worker for the whole day at least, because you have to at least hope someone's going to come in and replace that worker if you're like on a skeleton crew that day, which skeleton crew is the bare minimum amount of workers for a place, which, for example, with this McDonald's, let's say the bare minimum is like 5 workers. You would go down to 4 workers that day if you fired one of your workers if they had bad politics that day, because they like supported abortion or something. Oh no, now you're down a worker, and you have to try to call someone in to replace them. Good luck with that. Especially if someone already works 40 hours a week, they reach their 40-hour mark, they don't feel like overtime, especially if you don't have any overtime policies. Maybe with overtime policies you can reliably convince people, but if your job doesn't have like a time and a half marker when you get over 40 hours, it's like no one's going to come in unless they really need money. Unless you at least have time and a half or double time for overtime. You can't reliably convince people to come in for call-ins. Alright, anything else? Anything else? Social etiquette dictates, oh, right. If, let's go with something back to businessman and customer, but you're like trying to fix something at someone's house or just trying to fix something. Like, sometimes etiquette admits you might want to give an update once in a while. You don't have to do it too hard. But maybe if you walk by somebody and they want to ask something, you just tell them what's going on. Or if you're going to leave the place for a while to grab a part, you should let them know you're leaving but coming back. Especially if you're coming back. You can probably get away with disappearing, but I'm not going to lie. If I was at the house and you were working in my house, I'd want you to at least tell me when you're leaving so I don't fucking keep thinking someone's in my house, even if I'm just like letting you work in the room by yourself and I'm in my room playing video games. I would like you to let me know when you're leaving so I can feel comfortable knowing there's no one weird in my house anymore, or at least there's no one that's supposed to be in my house that's a stranger. Alright. And you should probably give like bare minimum updates to let them know what step you're on if you're at least leaving the house, or if you're like done with work for the day. Once you finish with your work for the day, but you still have some work to do, you should let your customer know at least like the bare minimum for how much is left. Like at least tell them like how many days or how many hours you think is left. If you only have a few hours left during your next day's work, be like something like, I only have 5 hours left of work for tomorrow, bro. We're like almost done. Be like, just say something like that. So you don't have to like describe the whole work process unless they're really bored and you're like bored to show you're cool and flirt with a hot chick about how you're a cool carpenter or something. Just tell them how much work you have left in terms of hours or days left and just move on. Yeah. Anything else for social etiquette? Oh yeah, proper social etiquette is shaking people's hands. That's like part of it. Or you can do a fist bump. Fist bump or shaking hands if you want to do like something like a bit official. Shaking hands, I can understand, is a bit sketchy because people will do the worker's handshake of death, where they grip your hand really hard with like a weird martial arts grip that fucking hurts your hand. That's a risk you have to take in the business world because the handshake is a sign of trust between people, even though it can get abused. It's like one of the few times we're touching each other is like a good way to see if anyone's a dick or if they're going to be nice the whole time. Let's see, what else? Anything else I need to explain about social etiquette? I've explained a lot. It's been 40 minutes of only social etiquette. The only thing I'm going to touch any other topics. We've been on 40 minutes for social etiquette, which I'm impressed by. I'm very impressed I managed to do 40 minutes for social etiquette. I thought this was going to be easier. I can't... Is there anything else I need? Oh, social etiquette obviously dictates you need good hygiene. That's very obvious. Civilized people with good manners and etiquette have good hygiene. Try to shower at least once a day if you can. Unless maybe you didn't exercise or do any heavy work where as long as you can say bare minimum you didn't sweat yesterday, like you can probably skip a shower as long as you also do the sniff check like this. It can make sure you don't smell like your sweat. If you smell like your sweat inside of your shirt, you have to shower. That's like the realest sign I can tell you. If you can like peel up your shirt like this and smell yourself and you like smell nasty, go fucking take a shower. I don't care if your shirt's covering up, go take a shower. Literally the bare minimum social etiquette for cleaning yourself is literally like take a shower, brush your teeth once or twice a day. Make sure to shampoo and condition your hair and fucking use body wash or a bar soap. Typical cleaning stuff. I shouldn't really have to clarify hygiene, but for the sake of social etiquette, we will clarify hygiene. It's very important. Probably the most important thing as part of being a good good-mannered gentleman is that you always show up looking clean and attractive. Even if it's just on a basic urban casual level where I just make sure to show up clean. Shirt's not even tucked, though I should mention for high society of manners, such as being like going to like a British ball or being a businessman in a suit. You tuck your shirt into your waistband. If you're like in a society which is where your dress is could be considered business class or formal class. If you're at least in business casual, you don't have to fucking tuck your shirt. But everything above that, when it's business or formal, you tuck your shirt in. I suppose with that, we should describe fashion for when you're in anything that's at least business casual and above. Actually, for casual clothes, we all know it's just stuff like where you just wear a t-shirt and shorts, which is like regular clothes. The only time you have like special rules for clothes is when you're trying to look businessy or formal. Formal, I mean by stuff like you're going to a wedding or church, by the way. Reverse rule is always for men, you tuck your shirt in. For women, they're actually kind of a bit lax because of how your clothes work. You guys are really supposed to wear dresses or pantsuits at best. Which, I'm not going to lie, if you're a woman wearing a pantsuit, you fall into the fucking men's suit rules again. But if you're wearing a dress, you just, you put on that nice dress. Don't show too much skin if you're being business class or formal. Especially the cleavage of the butt. Just like, you can maybe get away with showing off your shoulders and stuff, having like strapless dress to an extent, just like show off your arms and a bit of your shins. But basically for business class, anything above your knees or even showing your armpits a bit much for business people. Literally, for real, true business formality, you should have at bare minimum covered everything up to your elbows. You should have a regular t-shirt, at least like mine, with a tie, pants with your shirt tucked into your pants, and I'm wearing dress shoes, you should wear dress shoes, really, for like true business stuff. Or at least a good, clean pair of sneakers. I'm not going to lie, it's become a fashion trend in America, at least, where people are beginning to wear sneakers with suits, which thank God for that. Because sneakers are probably the best stuff for tactical stuff or just being able to move around on anything. Because dress shoes and high heels and stuff are like not exactly known for like being good for everyday wear. They're like, I don't know if dress shoes are known for being very tough. I could be being mean to businessmen right now who say that stuff like I've had my dress shoes for 2 years and never changed them. I don't know that. I'm just assuming based on sneakers and stuff that like, you should like, just like, dress shoes don't seem as durable to me, just based on the class they're for business stuff that you aren't supposed to wear every day. Anyway, on to the rest of social etiquette for men, because as we said with women, we mainly end with you wearing a nice dress that doesn't show anything above your knees, and those like you should have sleeves at least to the elbow and stuff. And don't show off your cleavage or butt. So your clothes shouldn't even be too tight when you're being formal or business class, because then you're too sexual. We don't like being too sexual with business or formalities. Anyway, now we dive on to the suit rules, which will apply to women to an extent if they decide to wear a pantsuit, which is what we call a female suit. For a suit, you would wear dress shoes, dress pants, or just the suit pants that match it. They have to be pants. Denim does not count as part of a suit. You have to wear like real suits fibers, which I think is, I know wool is one of the fibers, maybe silk's another. I just know for sure denim's is not a fucking, for one of those suits. What else? Then you have your torso, which is where you wear the three-piece suit, which is first of all a button up on the bottom, on like your skin. Then you have a tie. Then you have your suit jacket, and fucking that's not three-piece. I think you might wear an undershirt as well. That's the three-piece. An undershirt, then a button up over it with the tie that usually does not hang down over your dick. It has to like stay at least above your waist. Everything above your waist is kind of respectable, but they really want it like a bit above the belly button. That's really like the ideal point for like where your tie should be at, somewhere above the belly button. And then you get a suit jacket. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, with a three-piece suit, you're allowed to like break it down to an extent. I can't guarantee it for every business. Some of them might want you to wear the suit the whole time, because they want you to look super fancy, because the suit is like the real businessman's outfit. Really, that's like what businessmen are stereotypically supposed to wear the most. And so they might make you wear your suit the whole time if you go to a real business where you're supposed to wear suits. I don't know that for sure. I never worked in an office where you're supposed to wear suits the whole time. But I know that based on rules of formality in business, you might be required to wear a three-piece suit every day. Just if you're feeling too hot, try to cheat and at least skip your undershirt. Just like keep your button-up on. Button-ups can be really thin sometimes. You might be able to get away with it and be at least a bit cooler. And make sure to comb your hair and stuff. They like a very good, clean look. They don't like wild hair like mine with business. They like straightened hair, or at least hair that looks like that comes out of a fucking salon magazine or something. Like, if it looks like very intentional design, you can probably get away with it. But if you go into work with like frizzy hair and knots in your hair and stuff, they're gonna roast you and tell you're not formal or business class. You are cringe. And that should about cover everything for etiquette that I want to cover. I don't want to do the British man thing of being like, I must now teach you how to use your silverware. We do not have silverware rules in the street noble world. You know how to use your silverware. I'm not going to teach you stuff like the fucking soup spoon and dumb shit like that. We don't do that in street noble world. That's for a British person to explain if you want to be too British. We use our spoon for all the same things with a meal. We don't fucking make a special soup spoon rule. Anyway, that's it for the social etiquette video, guys. We're at the 48-minute mark. I'm bored. I can't think of anything else because I don't want to go into every specific situation like I did with security. We're just going to end the video here. So peace and love, guys.